we'll continue with the Quran. I also want to give you an example of, this is not fun to do, of a later Meccan surah, where the best one example I know of is Joseph. And the later Meccan surahs, since adversity has begun and he's under a certain amount of pressure from opponents and others, he's encouraged his supporters. So the scholarly theory is, I don't know if it's accurate or not, that he tells these stories about the tribulations and trials of former prophets and warners. He tells these stories in order to encourage his followers to be steadfast and to keep on. That's why a lot of these surahs have to do with the stories of mostly biblical previous people in a situation that he thinks he finds himself in, or he is in. Now, we were looking at Surah 3, and we didn't really read that because we were hurrying, the family of Imran. And he is talking about the people of the book, people of Scripture, and Abraham again. I just want to look quickly at this Mary material here, because it's hard to know if there's an issue here or not. Starts this in line 33. Though Allah preferred Adam and Noah, and the family of Abraham, and the family of Imran. Now, he thinks the family of Imran is Jesus. Or at least the people redacting this think that. In fact, as we know, or should know, or might know, the family of Imran is Moses' family. And there seems to be an overlap or confusion. I don't want to hurt any Muslims feeling on this. Confusion is a word they wouldn't like, and I don't want to say there is or there isn't. And I don't even know if he is confused. Although, you know, when you're 40 years old or 50 years old, you're remembering something that you heard when you were 20 or 25. I mean, even I, as you know, I'm supposed to, well, I don't say what you might think of me, but again, whatever you think, I make mistakes. Cheryl can tell you I make mistakes, don't I? So the fact of the matter is that you can confuse things. And I said, oh my God, did I say that? Why did I say that? That's ridiculous. But someone's putting it down and, you know, writing it down, remembering it, taping it, or whatever, and you said that. So it's quite possible that this is not his, or he didn't mean it, or whatever, and it may not even be an error, but let's look at it. Remember when the wife of Imran said, my Lord, I have vowed unto thee that which is in my belly, as a consequence, accept this offering from me. Well, that's supposed to be the Gospel of Luke to some extent, and the Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist. He doesn't name the names because he's, as we've seen in other examples, he's not often strong on names, and we'll see in the Joseph story he's not strong on names. That's often the case when you're trying to remember something from memory, or you've heard it orally. Now, people who feel this is supernatural, I defer to you in that. I understand you don't agree with me, or us scholars, or whoever you think is making these observations. But we're just taking the text. We don't have an agenda, though you may think we do. We don't have an axe to grind. We're just looking at. In fact, more of the people who on the supernatural side have an agenda, an axe to grind. They want us to think something is supernatural, angelic. Okay, fine. We get the point. But we're looking at the text, we're a jury. We're looking at the text as it is and trying to see what it says. And I don't think that we're being cruel or harmful, though anyone who has a different view always thinks the opponent is being cruel and harmful. And when she was delivered, she said, oh my Lord, I have delivered a female, and Allah knoweth best. So this is Mary, or Miriam's mother. It's not clear which. And so he is saying that she's dedicated to God. Thy protection for her and for her offspring. And her Lord accepted her with full acceptance and vouchsafed her a goodly growth and made Zechariah her guardian. We're in the Jesus, John the Baptist material of the Gospel of Luke here. You see? So he says Imran is Mary's father. But the problem is Imran is Moses' father. And, okay, the response is, I've spoken to people like this, and I've got the response. Allah knoweth, you know not. How do you know Mary didn't have a father called Imran? That's a good question, but that's one way of looking at it. On the other side of it, we know that Amram was Moses' father, and that Moses had a sister called Mary, or Miriam. And that's where this problem is occurring. Now, a believer wouldn't see this problem. They just take the document at face value. It has to be perfect, it must be right, and that's the end of it, right? So only someone at a university can do this, and we'll take the consequences of being blue meanies. Never mind. We know it's the Zechariah, and how many have read the Gospel of Luke here? So who's Zechariah in the Gospel of Luke? Zechariah is Elizabeth's husband, I think, if I'm not mistaken. John the Baptist's father. And the Gospel of Luke begins, and anyone will be confused by its presentation. It has Mary, and she's the cousin of John the Baptist's mother, supposedly. And then she goes to stay with them, and Zechariah is her guardian. Elizabeth's husband or father, I'm not sure which. I think it's her husband. When Zechariah went into the sanctuary, and she was, he found that she had food. He said, "Oh Mary, whence cometh thee this food?" And she answered, "It's from Allah." Then Zechariah prayed unto his Lord and said, "My Lord, bestow upon you a bounty, goodly offspring. Lo, thou art healer." And the angels called to him, and he stood praying in the sanctuary. And Allah gave 3 tidings, a son whose name was John. So this is, I don't have the Gospel of Luke with me at the moment, but this is supposed to be the story of John's birth. We actually thought it was the story of Jesus' birth. It's totally confused. It's totally confused. Now, I don't want to blame the Quran or even the prophet. It could be redactors. You know, if this is put down by later people, their memory might be wrong. Or how they put it down, and the prophet's name might be wrong. I don't think the prophet could make errors like this, frankly. I think that he was smart. Any Muslim in the room will have heard me say that. I think the prophet was smarter than this, okay? I don't think he's a stupid person by any way, shape, or form. I think he's a very intelligent, able, gifted person. And I don't think that he would make these kind of errors. And it's not sufficient to say, oh, he didn't make them. Well, the errors are here, but you don't have to acknowledge them as errors. Still, a believer obviously can't acknowledge this, but an unbeliever or an outsider, or an academic, if you're in academia, you can't have your beliefs dominate your observations. If you're a Hindu, or a Buddhist, or a Muslim, or a Jew, or a Christian, when you're in academia, don't you all agree in the end, isn't it true that you must let your observation take you where it has to go, whatever subject you're in? Does anyone think you can have your research or your observations dominated by what your religion teaches you? You can't. It doesn't matter what religion you are. So if you don't want to be in the academy or in academia, fine, that's okay. Don't be in it. But when you're in the academy, then you have to expect this. Isn't that true? You really have to expect. So we can't just pass this by, can we? I mean, we can't stop it.